Hey, how are you? Welcome back to Research Reality for another Revolution review, looking at another artist from the wall, Arch Enemy, a Swedish melodic death metal band who just put out a new album, Blood Dynasty, and we're gonna look at the lyrics, see how they pertain to the channel thesis being embedded within our creative culture is an undercurrent of unified resistance, and what we mean by that is that all of these artists on this wall, they all contribute to that thesis in some way. They all have a political message, a social commentary message, just some kind of thing, some kind of point that they're trying to make. Therefore, we are reviewing these albums one at a time, looking at the lyrics, looking at the messaging, in order to highlight what our creative culture has been telling us this entire time, or something like that. Feel free to check out those other reviews. We have all of the Rage Against the Machine done. We are working on the last of the System of a Down, along with a few others. Molotov Solution also just released a new EP that we covered last week. And I had a whole other video series that I planned on releasing talking about the value of your sources, your primary information sources. I released part 1, and then all of these albums released, and I didn't realize they were releasing in such close succession. So here we are with yet another Revolution review. Now I find it necessary to mention that Arch Enemy does not necessarily have the most poignant of messages when it comes to analyzing the lyrics. I'm not exactly going into their music expecting names and dates of historical or current events, nor am I expecting some kind of huge revelation or insight into deep, systemic, and or nuanced issues. But honestly, that's okay, because not everybody has to be a low-key, Akala, Immortal Technique-esque kind of artist in order to have some kind of message behind their music. Just because a band has a more generalized approach to the messages that they put in their music, that doesn't necessarily dock them points. It just means that, well, it is what it is, really. But there's still plenty of content in their music to make that distinction between something that, again, has that message, adds to that culture of resistance, versus something that would be more mainstream, more commercial, more corporate, whatever. Like and subscribe if you like the vibe, but enough yapping from me. Let's go ahead and dive into the lyrics, starting off with track 1, Dream Stealer. The name of the track says it all. We're looking at someone that's coming in late at night, stealing our dreams, corrupting them, crushing your hope, making you question all that you know, gaslighting you, sneaking into your mind so deep that it causes mental paralysis. A mental paralysis that makes you feel worthless, like you are stuck. It steals your passions, and it sends your soul to an early grave. AKA how I feel at the tail end of every weekend once those Sunday scaries start to seep in. God, I hate Mondays. But again, I feel like a lot of people could relate to this track from the perspective of their dreams being tarnished. A lot of people would like to own a home. That's becoming harder and harder. A lot of people would like to raise a family. That's becoming harder and harder. And therefore, they're not living the good life necessarily. They're not fully self-actualized. It's very soul-crushing, living a passionless existence, just that feeling of being worthless, or even that mental paralysis, or even just getting that inkling that you're being lied to by the people in charge, the people that you are supposed to trust, and that in of itself can lead to a mental paralysis of just not being sure what to think. What even is truth anymore? Moving on to track 2, Illuminate the Path. This one is all about basically living a nightmare, being surrounded by dark storm clouds, being surrounded by dread, but still we illuminate our path, we stand our ground, and we stand together and fight. We choose to live, we choose to stay, we stand together, come what may. Reminds me of this Stone Sour album, Come Whatever May. Stupid hair. And how even when the world turns its back to us, we still carry on, we still push forward, we still illuminate that path for ourselves. Definitely a strong theme of self-determination, but also just coming together as a community and standing as one. And as another line says, we won't surrender till the battle is won. And then track 3, March of the Miscreant. This song is all about being the underdog, being the lawbreaker, those who do not obey, those who are fighting the uphill battle, feeling the heat, and even taking those failures and using them as a motivational tool to keep persisting. There's also a line about rising above to exist, which is also a line from Akala's album, wherever it is on the wall, over here. The Thieves' Banquet, where he says existence is resistance, and that line repeats, again, existence just being its own form of resistance. So we rise above to exist because we do matter, no matter how hopeless or dark or depressing the scenario might be. It also talks about throwing off our mental chains, because of course that is a big theme in a lot of songs on this wall. So we are throwing off those mental chains, and then we also ask the question, will you rise or will you kneel and bow? And then for the next track, A Million Suns, it's actually all about the observance of the universe, just being humbled by the fact that we are so small, yet still interconnected with the infinite, just an atom inside of a grain of sand that is on a beach looking out into the ocean. Of course, we're so infinitesimally small that it's really hard to even have a perspective on just how big the universe is when we ourselves are actually just so tiny, and it's just so hard to comprehend when you look out into the night sky and you just see this ocean of stars, millions of stars, and it's just holy shit. You just realize that there's so much more to life than just social media or politics or just whatever you have going on in your own brain, that there's so much more outside of you that you can still find time to appreciate and again be humbled by. So yeah, I definitely appreciate the theme of this song, A Million Stars. But now, after we're done looking up at the night sky, we have our next track, Don't Look Down. Actually, we're going to go ahead and skip this one. It's just about standing your ground. Not a whole lot to really talk about. So actually, anyways, moving on to track 7, we actually have the title track of the album, Blood Dynasty. So this one has a lot of nods to climate change, saying that the ice is cracking from under our feet, that we are our own worst enemy because we can be self-deceived into thinking that the climate is not changing, that it's all a hoax, that it's not in fact man-made or caused by human activity. Then we have a set of lines that say, greedy teeth glistening, which of course greed is a huge component in how the fossil fuel industry continues to perpetuate itself. Our ears are sewn shut, not listening, of course not listening to the science. Tomorrow's promised to no one, because of course we cannot promise this lifestyle of consumption to future generations. Our silence deafening, because there are so many people that remain silent, that don't use their voice, and therefore it's just less resistance to actually make that change happen. We also have the lines, the tolling of the bell, a man-made destiny, on a joyride to hell, our legacy, a blood dynasty. Which the doomsday clock is actually a real thing run by scientists, I'm pretty sure. Definitely fact check me on that. But basically, once the clock strikes 12, that's when humanity will face another catastrophe. Whether it's a nuclear disaster or World War III or some kind of massive food shortage. And then there's another line, the extinction of mankind foretold by our own hands so brazen and cold, the final kneel, a mournful sound is echoed throughout the sky. Which that beautiful red sky is only beautiful because of all the pollution in the atmosphere. So just remember that next time you're enjoying a nice sunset with your loved ones. God, I'm so fun at parties. Then skipping down to the second to last track, The Pendulums, which again does not necessarily have a strong political message, but it does still have a poignant message nonetheless, because it's a reminder that the pendulum is always swinging, the sands of time are slipping through our fingers, every moment is gone as soon as it's over, which is like all the time. So you have to seize the moment each day because tomorrow is not guaranteed. You only have one life and the future is knocking on your door. And honestly, I think we will end the review there because the final song, Thieves and Liars, is not a bad song, but again, it's just not a whole lot there. But my favorite line from that song is, truth is a thief and faith is a liar. I think that's pretty poetic. So yeah, guys, that concludes the review of Arch Enemy's new album, album, Blood Dynasty. Kudos to them for adding the Doomsday Clock, for having some songs about climate change, and of course the struggle between those at the top and those at the bottom. You definitely have a few rally cry songs tied into these tracks, along with just finding our place in the universe and enjoying the universe, enjoying nature, cosmic nature. And of course reminding us that time is precious and we have to use it while we have it, while it's in abundance. So yeah guys, let me know what you thought of this review. Let me know if you have any other thoughts on this album. Let me know what other albums you would like to see me review next. Check out Patreon for exclusive videos down below. And of course like and subscribe if you like the vibe. And again guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care, stay informed, and we will see you on the next video. Later.